Well, I'm delighted today to have Diana Grundeen with me. She is the owner of Trio Landscaping, located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she has about a 30-year history in this field. And so welcome to the Edge of Success, Diana.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
I always like to start with just having people get to know a little bit about you. So share a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Sure. I'm Diana Grundeen. My business is 16 years old now this season, but I've been in the industry for over 30. And before I got into this business, I thought I was going to be a theater backstage manager, builder, producer type, anything backstage and building things. So I had quite a pivot while I was still in high school and was introduced to a fantastic horticulture program that showed me that landscape design and plant material and constructing things in the sunshine was even more exciting than working in the darkness of the theater.
So you kept the creativity part, but you just made a pivot into another world almost, really, compared to where you were before, it sounds like.
Yes, indeed.
I find when I talk to business owners, you don't love everything about what you do. I mean, there are always some challenges, if you could say, but there are also some loves. So as you think about your business and the work that you do, what kind of lights you up? What do you really love about what you're doing?
I really enjoy connecting with the homeowners and helping them see their space in a new way that is more enjoyable and more usable. And the comment is just so enlightening. It's unique for every property and every person, but it's interesting to help show them what they didn't see in the potential of their yard and how they can use it. That is what really lights me up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes I work with business owners a lot, and one of the things I try to do is help them understand their strengths. I find one of the things with our strengths is we tend to assume, because it's so natural to us, that everybody can do what we do. And that's just not the case. The reason why it's so easy for you, you can visualize it, you can share the vision of what you anticipate building or developing for them, because it's just naturally who you are. And so it sounds like that's a real major part of what you do. As I think about business in every industry, there are some challenges. What are some of the unique challenges that come along with your industry?
So unique challenges to our industry as a landscape design build company in the state of Minnesota, which for those of you that don't know, Minnesota really does only have about 12 weeks of summer, and we're a little bit behind getting to that summer this year as well. It's been a very cold spring, but we have a lot of winter and we can't be in the ground creating projects. So we have a very seasonal cycle to our business, because even on the design end, if we have a few feet of snow on the ground, it makes it very hard to see the property, to appreciate the grades, the existing structures, and things that we might either need to be removing or working with. So it puts all of our planning on meeting new clients and new properties and getting work installed at a standstill. Over the past 30 years, it's really taught me to plan ahead appropriately and to enjoy the time with my family in the off season as much as I can.
Okay, that makes sense. In addition to challenges, there are often some opportunities with each industry. And I love your creativity, from the theater to more outside, as you put it, in the sunshine. But as you think about opportunities in your industry, and this might even be oriented towards someone who is considering going into your field, what do you see as opportunities that are available that are unique to your space?
I guess there are opportunities to become business owners almost too easily, where if you haven't put the elbow grease in, you maybe don't appreciate how a project comes together from point A to point B. And I will admit, I've never been an employee of the crew. So to make up for that, I would go out and I would spend the entire day and be there with the crew. Yes, they were kind of annoyed by it, but if I didn't see how they prepare for the next step, what they were actually doing, how was I supposed to sell that quality of work? I understand the product that's going in the ground, but I didn't know how to get there because I physically was never there. So I will spend time with the crews, especially when I was very young in my career, but I do now as well. I go out and I hang out with the crews, like, tell me how you're putting that in. Why are you doing it that way? Why aren't you doing it this other way? I find that if you've had experience, it can make you a better business owner or better salesperson, I suppose. There can be some really great business owners that know their stuff, but then don't know how to run a company. They don't know how to have that support. So knowing when to ask for help is very important.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to my next question I had for you. As you say, you can have a skill set in a certain area, but understanding horticulture doesn't necessarily mean you're a good business owner. They're completely different skill sets. I have a background in education. I've been a school administrator, head of school, and I used to have teachers that would come to me and would say, hey, I'm thinking about being a school administrator. And I would say, well, really? I said, well, tell me about that. So I would ask them a few questions. Do you like teaching? Oh, I love teaching. I just love teaching. And then I would usually say, I don't know if you ever thought about it or not, but the skill set to being a good teacher, in contrast to being a good administrator, they're not exactly the same. Have you ever been to Walmart right after Christmas at the customer service desk? That's kind of what it's like to be an administrator, because you're always putting out fires for something. As you think back on your career, what are some things that you learned the hard way? What are some things that stick out as a business owner that you've learned and you've benefited from, and others would benefit from knowing what you know now?
If you love your business and you're not just trying to start another job, but if you really love what you're doing, you are going to work multiple factors. Maybe it's 10 times harder in your business than anybody else that you hire on. So don't expect the same passion out of the people that you're bringing in that you have yourself. I know early on in our career, as I was learning to hire and expand beyond this one, I was doing all of the admin and all of the office things and the sales and the design and the client follow-up and the project management. Again, I had crews doing the work, but I was doing everything but that. To find out that even at that level, my passion for my vocation and what I'm doing is just so much stronger. And some of it could be just who I am, and maybe other people were finding more of a job and they didn't enjoy it the same, or they just don't have that same level of dedication. So you just have to know where you're meeting them.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, I always find hiring is really a challenge for most business owners, and sometimes they don't really have clarity about the person they're trying to hire. And then I often find problematic areas we don't onboard them that well, because we have an expectation of what we want them to do, but they don't really know what that expectation is unless you communicate it well, and then actually measure whether they're accomplishing the objectives that you're trying to get them to do. One last question for you here. If someone were interested in your background, your experience, and they were thinking about going into your field, what would be one major piece of advice that you would give to that person?
Honestly, even if it's not in my own vocation, but to all the young people out there, go try it. Go get a job for landscape. Go get a job in the garden center and get to know the plant material. That was my first introduction to the workforce in landscaping, as I worked in the garden center. You don't jump right into being a designer or a business owner. You need some more knowledge. I found that super, super helpful and really got to learn from my mentors in that aspect, hearing more about the plants, understanding more than just what the textbook was talking about them, and being able to interact with them, seeing them through the different seasons. That was huge. There used to be this whole onboarding in the summer of all these wonderful young high school and college laborers that wanted to have a physical job and then ended up finding the passion for what they were doing. Go work in it, get the experience, and also start to see different aspects of it instead of, well, I shadowed somebody for a day. You're just seeing a very, very small page out of the very large, diverse book that can be all of the different things that we can do in the industry. But I also mean that for anybody else outside of the industry.
Sure.
Go find that entry-level job.
Yeah. Because, you don't really know what you don't really know. And if you get into something and do it, either you're going to really love it and want to do more, or you think, no, this is just not for me. So great advice there. So last of all, Diana, if you don't mind sharing, if someone wanted to learn more about your company, what's the best way for them to get up with you?
So I encourage them to find us either on our website, which is triolandscaping.com, or you can also reach out to us through social media. We're on both Facebook and Instagram. And right now we're sharing a lot of different projects of what we've been doing. And then we also, as the season really gets going, we also share snapshots of projects in process. So you can kind of see what's going on as well. And we do a wide variety of work in the Minneapolis area for consultation, design, and install. But then I also can design for other spaces like the cabin homes or the up north homes throughout the state of Minnesota, because I have a very unique way of meeting my clients and walking them through all of their processes.
That sounds great. Well, thanks for joining me today on The Edge of Success. It sounds like you've done the hard work, spent some good time, and developed a good company. And I'm excited for you, and I hope maybe there'll be people that will reach out to you from hearing on this podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. It's been great to be able to chat with you and help you reminded of some of the things that I've come across as well, because after 30 years, maybe you need a few reminders of where you've come from.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thanks again, and take care.
Thank you.